many years from now, when people talk about you, what is the one thing you would want them to remember about you?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, like, he came, he saw, he conquered.
Wow. Straight out of the Jay-Z playbook. Welcome to Nkwazi Unfiltered. As you all know, this is the podcast that brings you Zambia's movers and shakers, but we get to chat with them about stuff that they don't regularly talk about. Today is yet another episode where we'll have a conversation with one of Zambia's finest, and we're excited to have this conversation. My name is Kamiza Chikula, and I'm going to be your host for this podcast. Today's guest is a man who needs no introduction because he's a man who's constantly on camera, doing lots of work in the public sector. He's a man who has had a challenge which he navigated really well, in the sense that he was looking after the DMMU at a time when Zambia faced one of its worst droughts ever. He's a man who's an academician. He's a man who loves to read. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a time that I have not found him doing any sort of study to better and improve himself. He holds a PhD, he's an economist, he's a man of many talents, and today we'll discover some of the secrets behind his success and also what drives and motivates him. So without further ado, please welcome to Nkwazi Unfiltered our guest for this episode, Dr. Gabriel Pollen. Welcome, Gabriel.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It is good to have you here.
Quite an introduction.
Yeah, no. I mean, I cut it short, actually. We would still be going if I had followed the script. How are things going?
No, things are good. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have wonderful individuals such as yourself. We just need to dig deep and start right at the beginning. Tell us about your childhood and that one vivid memory that still feels like home.
Basically, mom and dad had 4 boys. So I'm the third of the 4 boys. Obviously, grew up with my brothers, who are now all over the world today. I'm here in Zambia. And, growing up was quite an amazing experience. I mean, as it is for most people. But I think importantly, being the third born in a family of 4 boys, I learned a lot from my older brothers, their interactions, their music, their style. That influenced me quite a bit. And, you always look up to your older siblings.
Right.
So that's also true for me as well. Grew up in different parts of Lusaka, born in Lusaka.
Ah, there we go. LSK, representing.
Grew up in different parts. I lived just down the road in Kalundu. We lived in Long Acres. Lived in Kabwata most of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Awesome. And if your parents were to describe you, how do you think they'll describe you as a child?
That's an interesting
That laugh says a lot.
That's an interesting one. They would probably give different answers at different points in time. So they would probably say something like, "Oh, Gabriel, between 1 and 10 was this type of character."
Right.
Because I think I have morphed, I've evolved over time. So they wouldn't necessarily give one answer. But one thing they would probably say is that, I was always very focused on school, always dedicated. My dad had this rule where he would reward any one of us if we passed between number 1 and 3.
Oh, wow.
And I made it a point to always be number 1.
It explains the competitiveness.
It was quite a very strict rule. Looking back, but it really helped me to stay focused and recognize the competitive nature of our existence.
And looking back at that, who would you say had the biggest influence on your life? And what is that lesson that they taught you that you've kept to this day?
I know this might sound cliche,
yes,
but it is my dad.
There we
He's
go.
a very, very religious, devoted man. Very, very disciplined. And I think everybody else who may have spent time with him would tell you what type of an individual he was. Very, very
Right.
honest in his trade and craft. And really has imparted very sound values in me, I think, that I carry on and hopefully my kids can also pick up on. Issues around, obviously, the soft skills in social networking,
Right.
honesty,
Right.
Be a man of your words. When you say something, mean it, and deliver. Be committed at your post of duty. When you
Right.
show up for work, be in the best behavior and do the most that you can. Yeah. So he has been quite impactful in that sense, but also the Christian values that I grew up under can be credited solely to him. He was a disciplinarian in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, with 4 boys, you've got to be a disciplinarian. I mean, any soft hand with 4 boys, and you're asking for trouble. That's havoc.
Indeed.
Yeah, so you've got to be firm. And what did he do for a living?
He used to work for Nippon Motors, and I think he used to live in Dole at some point in time, and he used to work for some engineering company that used to supply to the mines, I think, and then moved to Lusaka, where he had me with
Yes.
him, obviously.
Yes.
He used to work for Nippon Motors. It was Star Motors. It was Nippon Motors and became Star Motors before it became Toyota Zambia.
Yes.
So by the time that he was leaving, it was Toyota Zambia at that time. But I was driving past there recently at the show Sifao
Right.
or something
Yes,
like that.
farm
But
mobility.
He was in clearing and forwarding, in freight and insurance.
Wow.
And I think at the time of his retirement, he was like a manager or something like that.
Amazing.
A very, very dedicated fellow, I should say,
Nice.
to work and duty.
You just put in like the effort, and obviously they say children learn from what they see as opposed to what they hear. And obviously you saw his work ethic, and that must have impacted you.
Absolutely. So my aunt, when she traveled to England, she came back with the gifts. She always gave us gifts.
Right.
During Christmas. So one of them was Jack and the Beanstalk. So that was one of my early sort of initiation, so to speak, in terms of developing that reading culture. So every time my dad came back from work, he'd be like, Beanstalk, have you read Jack and the Beanstalk? Like, yeah, yes, I have. So in the early days, I'd memorize literally if I could understand. But over time, you appreciate that that type of culture of reading is not natural. It's something that you have to cultivate and nurture,
build it. Yes,
nurture in your kids and create a routine around it. And obviously, those days it felt like trouble. Like why is he giving me this much?
Why are you bothering me?
Why is he giving me this much script? But it'd come from where Beanstalk. What page are you on? And I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm on this page now. So Jack now has gone up the beanstalk. He's by the giant's castle.
Man.
And so I remember that story very well. Yeah.
Embedded.
Yep.
Speaking of stories, is there any particular story that you go back to and it always elicits a bit of a laugh when you remember, especially in school, be it primary or secondary school? An incident or something that just puts a smile on your face when you remember it?
Yes, actually. So during primary school, actually happened. He was a disciplinarian, my dad, like I said.
Yeah.
So during primary school, actually, me and my friends, we got naughty because I started school just next to Lissef. What's that school again? I forgot the name.
Lotus.
Lotus, yes. I
Yes.
started from Lotus. No, I started from Roma, just down the road here by Zambezi, by Roma, by the church.
Really?
We used to live in
Oh, my goodness. Yes. the nursery school there.
Yeah, absolutely. Then in grade 1, I did a little bit of Lotus. Lotus there, first day at school.
Oh,
okay?
no.
So don't judge me on that.
No, we listen, we don't judge.
First day at school, met up a couple of friends. I mean, I was a pretty small guy, probably the youngest. So I was, I think, 19. That's 1988, I think. It's not too long ago.
No,
just not too long ago. Just like a couple of years ago, 1988. First day at school, we with friends of mine. Well, I just met friends there.
Yeah.
We went into the school Mazefield, and the guys are like, "Oh, this maze is for us. You could get it."
Wow.
And then I picked out the cob, and then everyone started laughing at me, and they ran away.
Oh, no.
So I went with the maze cob. I put it in my bag, went with it home, and my dad came back and is like, what did you do? So he gave me some money to go to
Right.
take to the head teacher.
Right.
So instead of giving the head teacher the money, I went to go and buy a donut.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
one of
I
those
can
things.
see where this is
My
going.
brother always laughs at me, like, just as though he didn't turn out to be that type of a person.
Yeah.
Because all the time, obviously, but I mean, it's an interesting experience, first of all, in the sense that I broke the rule
Right.
on the first day of class.
Right.
And just as a young boy, didn't do what my dad asked me to do.
Wow.
So I had a little bit of that.
And how did the discipline go?
Oh no! I was terribly disciplined, so to speak.
Yeah, you had a character
No,
building
absolutely.
conversation.
I was terribly disciplined. It's not that the kids of today
No,
that you
no.
have to sit down and talk to. The belt would do its job.
Oh
And
yes,
then
yes, the
would
belt
do
was
its
well
job.
used. And in terms of upbringing, I mean, we always get influenced by our friends and the people that we see around us, our peers. In what way did you see a difference in the way you were brought up that impacted who you are today?
So I grew up pretty much a church boy and a little bit of a nerd, so to speak, in the sense that I friends would be relaxing over the weekend and I'd be going out to the library
Right.
to read, and I think I found myself when I went to uni 25 years ago
Right.
at the University of Zambia, when I interacted with different people from all walks of life. I think I had a broader sort of perspective about life and living. And it's during that time that I formed friendships that I've carried on to today. So a quarter of a century is not a very short time, so to speak, to have formed friendships, but also to appreciate that, there's a lot of diversity and variety in the way in which we grow up.
Yes.
And, a lot of people that had different socialization processes, but we all merged in this place, at the university itself to, give out ourselves in a way that helped us form the kinds of humans that we are today. And ultimately, you see from those interactions, you form long-lasting friendships. Sometimes some of those friendships drop out. Some of them become acquaintances.
Right.
But you learn quite a lot. But prior to going to the University of Zambia, my dad had this really good colleague of his who was a churchmate, so I really admired him.
Right.
And he had done economics at the University of Zambia.
Ah.
So I was like, maybe I should do economics. Because growing up, I thought I'd be a medical doctor.
Ah.
But I think just last minute, I changed my mind. I said, you know what, I'm going to pursue economics. And I think I didn't make a mistake.
Ah. Found your feet. So it's interesting that there are people that we look up to, and in some cases, they don't even know that they are heroes.
Absolutely.
And they formed so much impact within us that it directs the path of our lives thereafter. Did you ever get to tell him that he was your inspiration?
I think I did. In many ways, because I've had a conversation with him to say, well, we're actually my inspiration for doing
brilliant.
economics. I really, really admired. I mean, he works for the United Nations now. He's a big boss somewhere in Africa, and he's done quite well for himself. I think his agent holds retirement now, but he really did inspire me to pursue a degree in economics and to understand what the economy was all about. At that time, I really had no understanding what economics was.
Right.
I think you learn by doing, you learn by being in class, and as you rummage through the books and the material, you get to understand what the subject matter is all about.
Right. Now, you've had a very varied career, from academics, in fact, from banking into academics, and then into public service. Now, these are some major pivots, and you don't really see a straight line. It's almost as if you went to one spot, then swung across to the other. Were these pivots intentional, or did fate just play its hand?
I think a combination, actually. There were some parts of my career trajectory that were intentional. The academic part, for example.
Right.
And then there are certain things that happened as a result of fate, I guess, and public service being one of them.
Right.
I completed my undergraduate studies at the University of Zambia in 2004, in December. I was one of the best performing students in the economics faculty. So I stayed on as a tutor, teaching assistant
Right.
at the University of Zambia, helping out with undergraduate students. So I think that was pretty intentional, and I really wanted to do a master's degree.
Right.
So Professor Manengadulo, very, very renowned economist in Zambia. Everyone who's done economics at UNZA over the past 4 or 5 decades knows who this man is.
That is true.
Towering figure. We were part of the African Economic Research Consortium, which is basically a consortium of economic faculties in Africa where they're trying to promote regional training. So in 2006, I went to Addis Ababa, where I went to do my master's, and everybody got surprised, like, why would you go to Ethiopia to do a master's? But it's an interesting experience to study within Africa, another African setting.
Right.
Came back in 2008 and immediately became a lecturer at the University of Zambia from 2008. And in 2012, 2013, went for my PhD. So the academic trajectory around that time was pretty much intentional.
Right.
Intentional in the sense that I really wanted to flourish in the academic space. I wanted to consume as much material economics as I could. And I could only do that within the context of an academic space. Then went to the UK to pursue a PhD in economics at the University of London, SOAS, which was also quite an interesting experience because during my PhD studies, I taught at the University of Huddersfield, taught master's students, taught undergraduate students. And my latest visit to the UK, actually, I was actually hanging out with some of my old students.
Right.
One of them has actually developed a fitness app.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that can track your macros and can make recommendations for calories and so forth. So to impact people in that way, and they recognize, and you've been away for that long, and you can come back and interact in that space. That was quite intentional. Then I came back to Zambia 2018.
Right.
Now back at the University of Zambia. Then I went into. I used to also teach at the University of Lusaka. I helped with the development of curriculum in the economics faculty as well.
Right.
And I joined the civil society space, so let's just say research think tank with the Center for Trade Policy and Development as a senior researcher for public finance. Around that time, I also joined First Capital Bank as an in-house economist.
Economist, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So First Capital Bank. So, like I said, networks are important. One of my old friends from the University of Zambia, who was a year behind us and was roommates, a very close friend of mine, for First Capital Bank senior management, and he reached out to me as an academic. Hey, Gabriel, would you like to do a feature? We're doing something on the Zambian economy and want to talk to our clients. And I was looking for somebody to do a presentation. Like, I'm game. I mean, this is my field. Gave a presentation. The MD really liked the presentation. Like, hey, can we hold on to you a little bit longer? So they offered me a position as a consulting economist for the bank.
Right.
So whilst I was doing that as well, I also got like a consultancy with UNICEF. Long term. So at the time of my appointment in December 2021, I literally had 5 jobs.
Oh, wow.
I was juggling. Literally.
Where did you find the time, though?
Literally had 5 jobs that I was juggling. And that's quite interesting. I think that also, in a way, reflects the resilience, I think, within me. And also passion to just learn as much as I can in different fields and apply myself and, just enhance my capacity. But I did what I had to do and continue to do that.
From what I hear, it sounds like you never back down from a challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's challenge accepted.
Absolutely.
Challenge accepted.
I like to challenge myself. I like to challenge myself quite a bit. I like routine, but I like spontaneity sometimes. I think routine is important. It builds discipline and character.
Right.
And we know what atomic habits do over time. They compound to create the kind of results that we anticipate. But spontaneity is also important because it adds a flavor of randomness to our existence, and that really is
breaks the routine.
Spice. Absolutely, that is the spice of our living.
It is said, and I subscribe to this, that for any individual who's successful, there's an element of them being able to talk to themselves and will themselves across the finish line. Now, when pressure mounts, what do you think is your go-to mantra? Is it one of those where you just say, sleep can wait, or I will not fail? What do you say to yourself to hype yourself and to push yourself across the finish line?
Yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, I've sacrificed sleep so many times.
It's a luxury.
Absolutely, sacrificed sleep so many times, and even today, in my current placement, as in my current position as permanent secretary in the Ministry of Local Government, people at the office will tell you, and also at DMMU, they'll tell you that I'll probably be the first person to get to the office. The one time I got to the office really, really pretty early. I won't say what time it was, but the sun hadn't come out yet. And it's one of those times when we had long days,
right,
and short nights, but the sun wasn't out yet, but I was in the office. And one of the guards was like, I've never seen anyone come this early. I was like, I've got deadlines to beat.
right.
So I'm that type of a person who will shift my schedule around, stretch the 24-hour period to 30 to 40 hours in order to accomplish a particular task. So I will come blazing with my guns just to make sure that I get something done. So I'm that type of a person.
One thing I keep hearing every time I have a conversation with anyone who knows you or who had the misfortune of being lectured by you is, he was a savage. No, he just enjoyed making us suffer. I mean, you'd put in the work, you'd study, and you're like, yeah, this is it. This is the assignment. And it comes back in and you're like staring at a sea and like, how?
That's true. That's true.
Was this an attempt to push people beyond their limits or to make them better?
So first of all, I'll answer that by saying that they actually evolved also as an academic. In my early days as an academic, it was really about trying to push people to the limits and getting the most out of them. And I did that in the early stages of my academic career.
Right.
Some of the guys that I taught now have PhDs around that time, and they appreciate like, oh, this guy really grilled us.
Yeah.
But at the time of the grilling, obviously, it wasn't fun.
It wasn't any fun.
It wasn't any fun. But then I think when I got my PhD and came back, I think that really, really humbled me. Because during the PhD study, I realized how little I understood about the subject matter of economics.
Oh, wow.
And that really, really humbled me. And then also met different people from other parts of the world as well that converged in London. And I came back a much more humane academic, so to speak.
The humbling had done its part.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I came back that time, you could see the master students I taught that time, I was very gentle. And I think my approach also changed because I was more interested in trying to help people understand and critique and build their critical thinking, as opposed to recollection of the material and regurgitation of people's ideas and that kind of stuff.
Because anyone can do that.
Absolutely.
But can a person internalize it and then apply it and present it based on what they've actually learned?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well played. Now, learnings continue in our lives. During your professional career, what is the one moment where you look back and say, aha, I like that moment?
I think it was during my PhD studies, actually.
Right.
So fundamentally, the way the PhD is scheduled is that you get admitted into your PhD program, but the first year of PhD study, you're working towards what they call an upgrade, where they'll determine whether or not your material is PhD worthy, or whether they could just push you into an MPhil course. So when I did my presentation, I think that was around February 14 or 13, 2014 February. I did my PhD upgrade around that time. That time, people didn't even know me. You'd interact with different people, but after the presentation, people came out to me and like, "Oh wow, that was brilliant." And I made some friends who remained friends now. Very, very, very smart guys. But it was one of those moments that really put me on the world stage and made me really happy to recognize that I was worthy of the material that would be recognized at international platforms. So that was really, really good. But also I appreciate my PhD supervisor, Professor Ben Fine. I think he's one of those guys that really, really helped me to think critically, and is one of the one of the few individuals that really helped to humble me.
Right.
Because I realized how, how well read he was, and yet how well grounded he was as a human being,
Right.
and not just an academic. I mean, thousands and thousands of publications, but the guy would, just relate with you.
Just a well-balanced
Very,
individual.
very well balanced.
Right.
So I always, he also changed the way in which I approached my teaching profession as well, and also the way I relate with people professionally. Like try to see the good in them and try to build people up,
Right.
as opposed to tearing them down.
Right. And I know for a fact that any person who has any measure of success in their life has had failures. Which failure stands out for you, and what did you learn from it? How did you overcome it? How did you use that as super fuel to catapult you to the next level?
That's an interesting question. Just trying to think through it. Failure. I'm not perfect.
By no means.
I have not had a straightforward, straight line career path. But to say that I've encountered challenges, yes. But to say that I've failed at any point, I would be lying. I think I've pretty much excelled or overcome many of the challenges that I've faced over time. I think the only failure, I can't really think of anything that I would recognize as failure, but I can recognize a lot of things as challenges I've had to contend with and overcome. And sometimes you think of those challenges as pivots, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's personal, whether it's career, whether it's friendships and networking. I would think of them as pivots.
Right.
Yeah.
And in your view, what is one of those non-obvious skill sets that you possess that has helped you to succeed? People list all sorts of stuff and it's like, run of the mill, and everybody does it. Everybody knows that. But what's something that's non-obvious as far as you go?
I think it's something that comes naturally, and that's just being conscientious, being conscientious, being human,
right?
And recognizing that human relations underpin everything else that this world is all about, and that human relations, if properly harnessed, are the ones that deliver the kinds of results that you want. So
right.
Being conscientious and recognizing social networking
right.
as the critical factor in progress is a really, really important trait. And what that has done is that it's put me in a space where I have respect for everyone. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're the janitor. I don't care if you're the CEO. If you're a human being, I'm going to treat you with a certain level of respect.
Yeah.
And I recognize that I may be an important ally to an individual, but I also seek out networking, because that's really crucial. Yeah. And talking about networking, there's an interesting book. It's called Never Eat Alone, which really talks about, and I recommend that, which really talks about networking as an essential, critical factor in not just our interactions, but also in our goal achievements, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. I'll definitely look out for that. Never eat alone.
Never eat alone.
Yeah.
It's lunchtime.
Yeah.
Always look for somebody to have lunch with.
Yeah.
You always share that moment with an individual and talk about things that will help advance you to the next stage.
Yeah, no, because the sum total of our lives will never be able to go through what the next person has gone through.
Absolutely.
But the lessons that you glean from being able to live your life vicariously through them,
and
their experiences enriches you.
Absolutely.
That makes you a more well-rounded individual for the next person that you interact with.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. And it's actually, I think it resonates also with our African culture. I mean, how many Africans sit down and eat by themselves?
No, it's taboo.
We always eat as a community.
Exactly.
But now intentionally recognizing that, oh, wait a minute, there's actually substantial utility in recognizing that you aren't supposed to eat alone. It's not just about sharing food, but also recognizing that there are critical interactions and insights that you will glean from that setup where you sit with people around food, and there's something about it that just helps people bring down their guards and share moments and information.
Right. There we go. And if a young person approached you and said, hey, I've been inspired by what you've done in the public sector, and I want to venture in there and be of service to my country, what honest, unfiltered advice would you give them?
First of all, I would say to find out who they are themselves. 'Cause it's not, because public service, I mean, from my stint so far, is that it's beyond you as an individual, but
Right.
it requires you to know who you are in order for you to fully give yourself. So first you need to identify what your strengths, what your talents are,
Right.
and whether or not you want to deploy this particular unique set of capabilities to serve others. So once you've identified that, you can find out for yourself who you really are
Right.
and use that for public service, and that's the best way. So for example, I recognize that I'm pretty good at numbers, I'm good at
Right.
critical thinking,
Right.
but I also need to be in my best self in order for me to use those talents in
Right.
a way that
Right.
helps. So, I've always been an individual who's been into health and fitness, so to speak.
Oh, this we know. I could tell stories about that.
into health and fitness. Like sometimes I say, I think that's my true passion, just really just being healthy and fit. Because I recognize also that there's, there's utility in being optimal yourself in order for you to
Right.
fully give
Right.
to others. You've got to be selfish in order for you to be selfless, because you cannot be selfless if you're not optimal yourself. Sometimes I have dreams of retiring on the Zambezi and building up a nice state-of-the-art gym there, and people can come and recharge.
Oh, wow. I do that fitness component. It's still strong.
Absolutely.
Now, what most people don't know is, we've had a couple of sessions many moons ago.
Yes, indeed.
And you brought me to a stage where I realized how old I really was. I don't know if you recall this, but there was a session where we worked out and I could feel myself getting woozy. And it was like, hey, I just going to get some rest in the car. You'll be fine. And you came to check on me. So are you still into fitness? Like,
Absolutely.
Are you going as hard as you were then?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm still at it. I've actually built a routine around that, and so those people conversant with me in terms of checking out my socials,
Right.
whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or my WhatsApp. They'll see that I'm always talking about the 4 a.m. club, because I get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Immediately I start working out. I get the office pretty early, and I'll do my 5K walk before my day starts.
Oh, wow.
So that's the only time that I have that I can fully control myself before the day starts. And the rest of the time is for service. It's
Right.
for the government. It's for the public.
Right.
But I've got to take care of myself first, and fitness will come first.
And aside from fitness, what else do you do to decompress? I know you have a high pressure job and there's so many demands, but when you take off the job, aside from fitness, what else is your go-to play?
Friendships, hanging out with friends, finding time to meet up with very close friends, and
Right.
just having a laugh and just talking about nonsense. Sometimes just being away from that routine. So friendships, family, that
Right.
helps to decompress as well. Travel, whether it's local or international, that helps to break the routine.
Right.
And to remind you that, hey, wait a minute, you're part of the system.
Yes.
You're part of the
Yes.
system. You're also a consumer. You're not
Right.
just a policy implementer.
Right.
So that helps to stay grounded.
I hear you. And with regards to family, what is the one thing that is a non-negotiable ritual for family?
Duty and responsibility. You always have to make time for family. After all, when all is said and done, you go back home. So duty and responsibility to family is non-negotiable. Family comes, first, as they say. But obviously, the
Right.
president reminded us, says you're married now to the rest of the country.
Yes.
So you have to recognize that. But yeah, I mean, balancing that out with everything else is essential in this whole matrix. Yeah.
So many years from now, when people talk about you, what is the one thing you would want them to remember about you?
It's an interesting question. Yeah, but like, he came, he saw, he conquered.
Wow. Straight out of the Jay-Z playbook.
So I think it's just that, he's an individual like everybody else, grew up average middle class Zambian household, and found himself and deployed his talents to serve a greater cause beyond himself. But to this, I credit the networks, like the shoulders of giants that we stood on, that have given us the opportunity to be where we are today. So, all due respect to that.
So, on occasion, I know you managed to get some time off. What does a perfect day off look like in the life of Gabriel?
It will still start off with a workout.
At 4?
It will start off with a workout.
Will it still be at 4 o'clock?
Unlikely at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
I will probably say I will sleep in an extra 2 hours.
Right.
Maybe I'll start at 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I'll start off the workout
Nice
or a
and early.
walk or something, but just something to just get the blood running.
Right.
And then I will try as much as possible to do something away from routine.
Right.
And to be intentional.
Right.
So if my routine required me to attend meetings, I'll try not to attend any meetings.
No meetings for the day off.
Not the day off. No meetings for if it's going to be a meeting, then it'll be just anything social and not meeting people because they want something from me. I just want to meet friends that we go and talk about nonsense with.
You need those. You can't always be that critical thinker.
Absolutely. So I'll just wander and just do things that are away from the daily routine. Just maybe go out to eat in a different restaurant from the one that I always go out to, or just do something very different. Maybe meet new people or take a walk in a place that normally I wouldn't take a walk and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And what guilty pleasures do you enjoy that really lift your spirits? And we've heard people tell us, for me, it's 90s Zambian music. That's like the space. And some people amaze us and say, no, I cook. And that's me. That's my happy space. What is your guilty pleasure? What do you have that's tucked away that you don't do regularly?
So this is something that's a recently acquired guilty pleasure, and that's getting on my motorbike. I enjoy the freedom.
You're riding now.
Yes. I enjoy the freedom that comes with just being on a bike. I mean, I think if you've heard Michael Jordan, I know you're a fan of
Big time.
fan of Michael Jordan yourself. I've been, being in the trade yourself. He said something about motorbikes. Says if you've never been on a motorbike and gone on high speed and recognize the discipline that it takes to keep yourself on two wheels on high speeds and awareness of the environment, and you never really understand that. So I really enjoy the fresh air that comes with it, the responsibility that it takes to stay on those two wheels, and the awareness of the environment. Yeah. So you're not just taking care of yourself, you're taking care of everybody else. But also it teaches you to anticipate. In other words, bear in mind, it's almost like we, defensive driving, a lot worse with motorbikes, because any mishap on the thing could be fatal.
True.
So you have to anticipate and assume that everybody else in front of you is going to make a mistake, and you have to be ready to veer off any harm or danger.
Right.
So that's a guilty
that
pleasure.
heightened
My wife
state.
doesn't approve.
No, most wives don't.
She doesn't approve of my motorbike pleasure, so to speak. But it's something that, like I say, it's a guilty pleasure because I indulge against the people that that love me. And
But that's the thing with some of these guilty pleasures, like riding a bike. There's something about what it does for you, the adrenaline.
Absolutely.
And you're in a state where everything's in slow motion and you see everything in 360, 8K, and it comes at you and it's so different, and it's a feeling that you can't explain to anyone else.
Absolutely, unless they've been on a bike.
They've got to experience it themselves and like, so this is what it's about. Unless, of course, they get terrified and then never want to come anywhere near it again. As we conclude, obviously you were at the helm of some major policy with regards to dealing with the drought that hit Zambia, and you're continuing to help formulate policy. Beyond policy, when we look back and say, Dr. Gabriel Pollen, what will we remember?
I think it's one of the things that you pointed out on the introductory part where you talked about being a key resource in the drought response, the 2024 drought response. One of the key things I remember at that time was a presidential directive to say, no one would die of hunger. And how I interpreted that was I would do everything in my might to ensure that the presidential directive is implemented. But beyond the implementation of the directive is also the human face of the people who were facing deficits. And, we traveled by chopper to do assessments, to land in very remote parts of the country.
Right.
And to actually look at people in the eyes and say, well, we'll do everything that we can to ensure that you have the food that is needed.
Right.
So having been in that space, it just felt so honorable. And quite a humbling experience to have been a critical resource within the context of a drought that hit the country in that way.
Now, we saw the images. I mean, you put away the fitted suits and you were in the work suits and the jumbo, the boots came on. And there was one picture that really comes to mind vividly. You were basically straddling two trucks, almost like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Absolutely.
Now, but that work speaks volumes about being available for the public sector. And for that, on behalf of Zambian people, I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
It's been absolutely wonderful chatting with you. Grateful for you sparing time out of your really busy schedule to be on Nkwazi Unfiltered. And thank you for letting us peek into some of your more private moments. And now we have a better sense of what makes you actually tick. And when we see you, like, aha, it's that drive again. Now we understand. But thank you so much. We're really, really grateful to have had you here. It's always a pleasure to run into you. And thank you so much for staying true to who you are.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much for watching yet another episode of Nkwazi Unfiltered. As always, our guest today is a man who has marked success. He's been doing so much for the country, for academia, and he's an inspiration to a lot of people. His name is Dr. Gabriel Pollen, and he's currently serving as the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. His accomplishments speak for themselves, but today we've got a chance to know the man behind the legend. Be sure to tune in the very next episode of Nkwazi Unfiltered, and who knows, you might just be our next interesting guest.